Is what I'm looking for meant to be found? I think it is. I think it's begging to be found. But what is it, and why is it hidden? I'm not sure I can answer those questions, and that is why I turn to art. By trying to uncover the messages being channeled by my subconscious, I can attempt to open a portal for unfiltered creation. And that is what the group we know as Surrealist artists did 100 years ago. Surrealism was a literary movement that emerged in the late 1910s and early 20s. The movement officially started in Paris in 1924 with poet and critic André Breton's publication of the Manifesto of Surrealism, a document outlining the ideas that shaped the movement. Breton and his peers sought to revolutionize the modern way of thinking, calling for an alternative that released all control exercised by reason and logic. Like Dada, Surrealism was rooted in a dissatisfaction with bourgeois values and the tragic aftermath of World War I, seeking to rebel against institutions and powers who imprisoned the mind. Fueled by the desire to release imagination and reveal the images of the subconscious, Surrealism and its ideologies quickly spread through artistic, intellectual, and political discussions, often engaging in criticism on the constraints of a capitalist and sexist society. Its members were influenced by Marxist, Freudian, and Jungian thought, actively promoting anti-fascist and leftist ideologies and criticizing the state of a world at war. Surrealists believed that if more emphasis was given to the subconscious mind instead of placing it on rational consciousness, we could improve the collective psyche and mend the mistakes of our generation. The movement, while it had a broad range of intellectual ideals, did not have a defined aesthetic, which gave the artist a great range of freedom and originality when creating. Chances are you are very familiar with the works of Salvador Dali, René Magritte, Max Ernst, Man Ray, Maurice Tabard, or Hans Vollmer, but perhaps not as much with female figures that were just as influential for the movement, such as Dora Maar, Merritt Oppenheim, Claude Cahun, Leonora Carrington, and Greta Stern. The movement provided the space for women to amplify the repressions that took place not only in their dreams, but in their realities too. These images are part of Greta Stern's series, Dreams, photomontages commissioned as a photographic illustration for a weekly column, Psychoanalysis Will Help You, in the pioneering Argentinian women's magazine, Idilio. Readers would submit written testaments of their dreams to be, ironically but not surprisingly, analyzed by two male intellectuals and depicted by Stern. Stern often challenged their interpretations by substituting her own feminist and rebellious interpretations to these dreams. Despite being overshadowed by their male counterparts, these powerful artists carved their own space in the public sphere and the movement that was quickly growing. These artists longed for artistic freedom from societal constraints. A key element to their practice was to highlight and heighten our inherent connection to nature, blurring the boundaries between human and animal, and to abstract the body to challenge our perceptions of beauty and modern reality. As surrealism grew in popularity, it made its way into the commercial and popular sphere. Slowly, museums started acquiring pieces for their permanent collections, and the visual language created by these artists was surely absorbed by capitalistic culture. Somehow, its ubiquity was the beginning of its decline as a movement. However, as time has progressed, curators, collectors, and the general public keep coming back to the surrealist artworks, recognizing the echoes of surrealism's ideals in today's society. A great deal of exhibitions looking back on surrealist art has been curated over the past decades in an effort to assess the influence the movement had on the artistic movements that followed. One such exhibition was Surrealism Beyond Borders, which was on display at the Metropolitan Museum of Art and Tate Modern in October 2021. This exhibition aimed to extend the dialogue to the regions of Eastern Europe, the Caribbean, Asia, Latin America, Australia, and North Africa, as these were often ignored in the Western European focus of surrealism. Another exhibition, The Traumatic Surreal, has been on display since November 22, 2024, and ending on March 16, 2025, at the Henry Moore Foundation in England. The exhibition compiled sculptures and films made between 1964 and 2017 that explore the appropriation and development of surrealist traditions and techniques by women artists in German-speaking countries after World War II. By focusing on a specific geographical location, the exhibition shows how fascist and Nazi ideologies have impacted and scarred the generations of women that came after them. The market for surrealist art continues to grow in value and quantity, focusing on the history of the movement as well as the ripples it has created in modern scenarios. This has led the conversation into the correlation between contemporary artists and those who came before them. Even though the actual movement of surrealism is considered to be over, the desire to channel the subconscious and create from an automatic state are ideals that still inspire many. One example of this is Calliope Amorphous, who is interested in translating ideas of identity, mortality, in states of consciousness. In an interview, they stated that they tried to put the analytical mind on pause as much as possible when creating. Roger Ballin is another contemporary artist with a long career delving into the intricacies of the human psyche. Ballin uses motifs such as childlike drawings, found objects, mannequins, animals, and marginalized people in films, installations, sculptures, paintings, and theatrical plays. In this way, he creates existential dramas that force the viewer to navigate the uncharted territories of their repressive conscience and feelings. Robert Settler is a contemporary painter, writer, and curator who has dedicated a big part of his career to understanding how surrealism's ideologies and inspirations are still present today. For him, the appeal of surrealism in contemporary art is the freedom and accessibility of communication it provides. In other words, by communicating through a language that is understood by all, the language of dreams, artists can communicate with deviance by inserting hidden meanings, using absurdity, and going against all logic. Just because an ideological or artistic movement is theoretically said to be over, that doesn't mean that these trends of thought just disappear. History repeats itself and builds upon itself, so it's only natural to hear echoes of past sorrows in our nightly dreams.